What the fuck? Hi everybody, Richard Boyd 2 here. This is an attempt at a rant. Someone had thought it would be a good idea for me to do one. I don't know if I necessarily am fit to do something like this. You know, when I think about those things that get me pissed off and frustrated, usually I tend to want to do something like this. You know, that hurts. But you know, it doesn't hurt as much as some of the people that I listen to. And I'm going to talk to you about this one. Here, let's just go along from this point. There are two Canadians that really get my dander up. One of them is VFX, and the other one is I try to get them out of my mind as much as I possibly can. I completely forgot his name now. Maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. Shit. It's like it's on my tongue, but I just can't get the damn name out. And I know all of you will recognize it as soon as I say it. If I can get it out. Oh, shit. That's ridiculous. He's another person who's anti-atheist. Yeah, funny, they keep on talking about us so-called anti-theists. And I'm not an anti-theist. I just don't like the way that some people treat other people. And this isn't just necessarily restricted to theists. Both of them are theists, VFX, and the other one, Broccoli. They both piss me off because of the bullshit they do. But there's also atheists out there that kind of put me off too in certain respects. So this isn't necessarily a theist-atheist sort of thing. It's just that the theists are so prominent out there that they have so much sway in our society, and a lot of the atheists are so diminished by comparison that they end up having to live in connection with so many of these people that do this stupidity of pushing other people around with their so-called code of ethics. Anyways, this is supposed to be a rant. That hit in the head was basically what I think of those two. Brock Lawley especially, he just comes up with crap. Everybody knows what he's like. He plagiarizes most of the time, all the stuff that he puts out there. He's good at projecting all this stuff, make it sound like his own, but it's not. I don't see any real. Well, again, I'm an atheist. Okay, I'm missing something. You know, I have no faith faculty. Let's just say, for lack of a better term. I know there's no real evidence of anything like that as existing as a faith faculty, but you know, I'm at a loss. I've always been at a loss to be able to believe something, to accept something, and I mean this in a particular way. The idea of faith as accepting something without any kind of validation or evidence. Okay, that's the particular formula. Now, you look in the dictionary and you'll find there are several meanings to the word. And you say, I have faith that the light will come on when I turn the switch. Okay, so I flip the switch, and what they really mean is I expect these things to happen. There's evidence for that. If I say that I have faith in my fellow man, it means that I trust or have an expectation of mutual benefit and mutual respect. I give it. Why shouldn't I expect it to come back? I know it's not always there. There are exceptions to yes. But as a general rule of thumb, I have no problem with most people that I meet out there. I mean, there's some assholes, okay? But that mostly has to do with demeanor and attitude and stuff like that. The only thing that might stop them from doing something against me is potential repercussions. Okay, what I might do in retaliation or defense. Again, what else do I have a problem with? I have a problem with people who say, "Oh well, that's the way things are. Why do things have to be the way they are?" And a lot of that is in connection with what's going on in the Occupy movement, because, and I've expressed that I'm pretty pumped about what's going on with the Occupy movement. It's spread so much. And a lot of people are wondering, well, what's the message? What's it all about? There's nothing really there. There's no substance to it. And that is a load of crap. It is substantive. The substance is there. People are just choosing not to look at it. And they're using petty excuses to try to push them on, to say, oh, you've had enough time, you're not getting anywhere, you're not doing anything, you're not presenting anything. And yet, when I look at what's going on, these Occupy movements, the people are occupying places like parks and city halls and whatnot. And as much as the government attempts to make it seem as if we are a free country, we are free people, there's an illusion to it. There's all kinds of corruption that's going on at the top. And you can't tell me that people don't see it. They're just, oh, well, who am I? Come on! Another friend of mine had also expressed his disgust with people who sit back on their laurels and point a finger at people who do go to the protests and protest what's going on up there, because they want to see something else. Well, what do you want us to do about it? They're there, and what they're doing is showing that under all the pretenses the governments make of being reasonable and that this is a free country, underneath all that pretense is an iron fist, and they're going to take it out and smash you if you don't follow along with the pretense. The pretense of reasonableness. Oh, well, you can't stay here in this park all the time. That's wrong. And then they send people in with batons and chemical warfare, and they use unnecessary force. And these are peaceful protests. They do a lot better if they just stood by and went along with it. Because people would eventually probably get tired of it. But they couldn't wait. And one of the reasons why they can't wait is because it's starting to attract attention, and people are starting to look at this thing. And I'm noticing when I'm going along and I'm listening to radio, it's there now. It wasn't there when it started, but the representation is there now. People are talking about it. People are talking about the corruption at the top and the way that the government works, and the need to remove personhood as a definition for a corporation, and the idea that these people in Congress and whatnot, their lives don't apply to them the way that they apply to everybody else, that they can do things like insider trading and nobody's going to touch them. All these things are all elements that kind of nudge corruption in a certain direction, and don't necessarily see it because it doesn't all of a sudden come out and just reach down into your pocket blatantly. It does it in a kind of how would you say, an apologetic sort of fashion of, well, we have to do this, it's unnecessary evil and all this sort of stuff. But, the way things have developed is just plain wrong. We used to be, or at least I think, again, personal opinion, disagree, agree, I'd like to hear that. Society, the idea of society is a place where people can come together and interact with each other without fear of violence or force used against them. And the idea of government was the understanding that people do end up in disputes for honest reasons, sometimes dishonest, but still there's another element to that too. Nonetheless, disputes, the idea of setting up a mechanism to help to settle disputes peacefully among people who are interacting, was the idea of government. Not that it came from government, but that people had the idea that government wasn't necessarily supposed to be the driver of society, but society was supposed to be the driver, and government was just supposed to be there to avoid the unnecessary violence that could occur if you could set up some sort of a justice system, to say this is justifiable, this is not justifiable, that people could interact and there would be some sort of reasonable expectation of mutual benefit and, how would you say it? See, this is why I'm terrible at rants. My mind starts going off in all kinds of directions. But people could actually have some sort of positive purpose to their lives. They can have their own purpose and not something that the corporation decrees to them and says, we must all march to the same drum, we must have a timing system so that everybody operates on the same basis so that the commerce can all interact in the same way. And the whole thing seems to become this whole idea that commerce is the purpose. This is what we all have to live towards. This is what we have to build a more stronger economic system so that we can help to fight off all the would-be attackers that are against our riches and wealth and comfort. If society, the function of society was simply to permit people to be able to interact with each other, to have relationships, not to get the bigger, better, stronger, more of everything, but just to enjoy each other. And if stuff does come from that, that's secondary and a positive possible thing. But to turn it around into the driver, to say that everything we have to do has to be for prosperity, growth, expansion, profit, and that everything else is secondary, is an absurdity. That's not what we're all about. I think Gene Roddenberry saw that too. He had the whole idea that economic gain was not the whole purpose of an individual's life. The idea that a person was out there to explore, to come to understand things. I know that people would say, well, why would that have to be any kind of thing? Why should I be told that I have to go out and explore and try to come to understand? Why can't I just get more of everything? Who are you going to get it from? How are you going to set up a system where you're going to justify the whole direction of all society is only for building wealth? And the only purpose of building wealth is what? In order to be more powerful than anybody else? And why do you need to be more powerful than anybody else? Because you feel threatened by everybody else? I don't think that's what we should be concerned about. I think society can be better than that. Okay, I'm going to stop here. That's a partial rant. I don't even know what this is going to turn out like. I'm going to throw this out there for people to look at. How do you think of my rant? Is it any good? For those who have endured it this long, thanks for watching. Maybe I'll be able to pursue something else with this.